Hello friends, welcome back. Also Woodland Bunny here, cozy space to talk about books. I have a stack of books right here in which I pulled from my shelves after perusing them and that I'm eager to get to and wanting to reignite my passion for my own TBR again and like this idea of shopping my shelves. So I've done that here and today I'm going to be sharing with you these few books. I'm obviously excited for a lot of my TBR, but being a mood reader, my mood often does change as to what I want to read. I have a little bit of a collection here going on. So perhaps you'll get some recommendations, or if you own these books, you'll get excited about them too. I love to know what books are piquing your interest at the moment because, of course, I adore books, so just chatting about them brings me immense joy. So let's get into the pile. Starting with the book at the top, we have Glyph by Ali Smith. I most recently got this, and this is an exclusive independent bookshop edition. It is also signed, which is so exciting. And I have only read Autumn by Ali Smith. I know that she does those seasonal quartets. I think there's obviously one for each season, and I think this is her most recent release. I'm still very much fresh and new into the world of just general fiction. For a long time I was very much just a fantasy and romance reader and didn't really explore this kind of bigger area of the fiction genre in general. So I'm very excited to be diving into this because I really enjoyed Autumn by Ali Smith. I thought the writing was pronounced, and a lot of the stuff that I have read since then, since I have been exploring Ali Smith and exploring recommendations in the kind of lit fic plus general fiction genre, I have adored. I just found it so interesting, intriguing, and so I'm wanting to return to my roots, I suppose, and go back to an Ali Smith novel, and have heard really good things about this one. So it says, "Oh brave new world that has such people in it. Once upon a time, not very far from now, two children come home to find a line of wet paint round the outside of their house. What does it mean? It's a truism of our time that will be the next generation who will sort our increasingly toxic world. What would that actually be like? In a state of hostile, a world of insiders and outsiders, what things of the past can sustain them, and what shape can resistance take? And what's a horse got to do with any of this?" Glyph is about a novel how we make meaning and how we are made meaningless. Not to traditions of dystopian fiction, a glance at classique and a new take of the notion of classic. It's a moving and electrifying read, a vital and present tale of the versatility and variety deep-rooted in language, in nature, and in human nature. I just find that so intriguing, so telling, but also still so vague, which I think is obviously what a blurb is supposed to do. But I just find that is just such like credit to the kind of book that this will be. So yes, very interesting and eager to get to this one to start off. Next up on my pile is Miss S. I've had this one in my collection for a little bit now, I think, and I am intrigued by it. I think it has themes of a boarding school. It is another little thing that I'm excited that I found on my bookshelves. Anyway, sorry, back to Miss S. So I think this has a boarding school theme in it. It has sapphic representation. I think it has a dark academia theme in it too. I think it's been described as seductive, it's been described as intelligent and witty and also intriguing, and so that intrigues me in itself. And yeah, I just love books about these kind of like dark academia or just academia in general, sapphic relations, boarding school, all of those themes. So very intrigued to see what this one is about. Next up on my list is a Christina Lauren. Now, I used to read Christina Lauren religiously when I first started getting into reading, or when I first found my taste and style in reading, I would say. This one is The Paradise Problem, and the reason I'm drawn to it is because it has an unlikely duo, opposites attract, and also quite a bumbly, chaotic main female character, and I really resonate with that. I am quite chaotic, quite messy, quite all over the place, very disorientated a lot of the time, and I just love that kind of representation in romance and how it's veering towards not everyone being perfect and everyone actually having personality and uniqueness. And so yeah, I'm really excited to read a romance version of that because I've read a lot of that in lit fic and a lot of like rawness and realness in character in lit fic, but not so much in romance. So I'm intrigued to see how this one does it. Then we have a book which has been on my TBR since it was announced it's releasing, or since it has been released, and that is Rewitched. Now, I think this is a book about witches. I think it has romance woven in here as well. I think it has a magical bookshop. Yeah, it's set in London too, and she's handling her toxic boss and concealing her witchcraft from those around her. She's burnt out. Perfecting the potential of her magic is the last thing on her mind, and then I think that she has to end up in her embracing this magic. I think it's something which her coven has dictated she needs to do. I'm very intrigued to see how this one plays out. Again, I think the themes and the character in general was something that I was very intrigued by and resonated with when I read the kind of themes surrounding this book. So excited to get to this one. Then we have a book that I don't really know too much about, in which is Every Exquisite Thing. I think this is dark academia, sapphic, and has perhaps a horror element, but I'm not 100% certain. I saw the dark academia, I saw the sapphic, and I saw like some kind of horror element / fantastical element in it, and I was sold. I tend to just look at kind of overall themes, or that's how I tend to describe my books as well, but it's obviously hard when I don't know what a book entails. These are the keywords that made me add this to my basket and check out, so perhaps it will be intriguing. I hope it's really good. I haven't heard many people talk about it, so yeah, I'm very excited to dive in. Then we're down to my final two books. The first one is Song of Silver Flame Like Night. I read a book in which I'm going to put on the screen because for the life of me I cannot remember the name of it. I think it was The Girl Who Drowned Underneath the Sea, or it was something along these lines. But this book reminds me wholeheartedly of that book, and I absolutely adored that book. I thought it was magical. I think about the world of it often, the characters, mythology surrounding it, the folklores and tales that it had woven into it, and just the story and the writing there. And I don't know if it's just the cover alone, or maybe I've heard about it and my subconscious is just bringing themes to the forefront, and that's why I'm comparing it to this book. But I am so intrigued by this one. It has that mythology in it as well. It's got demons, forgotten past, the fallen kingdom, and it has our main protagonist girl who is kind of exploring this and battling this. And yeah, that is just something that I am just so intrigued by. And I just love a good fantasy with a fleshed out world, great characters, great adventure. And I think this one is going to deliver on that. Then we have the final book that I'm going to talk to you about today, and this is the book in which I most recently added to my TBR. I actually added it yesterday, and that is The Book That Wouldn't Burn. When I was in London a few months ago, I saw this basically everywhere on all of the tables facing out, and I picked it up so many times but kept putting it back. But I am so intrigued by this book that I just had to purchase it. It is about, from what I can tell, stories, words, books, and I love books about books, but I think it's also about academia and perhaps a library in there as well. I think it has historical fiction perhaps element in here as well, and maybe time travel, though I'm not 100% certain. But yeah, I'm just really intrigued by it. I think the second book has now been released, so that intrigues me even more that this isn't a standalone. So yeah, I'm very excited to get to it. I haven't heard that much about it, but I think it again is about books and libraries, in which that is just one of my favorite things, so very excited to read it. So at the moment, me being my new reader self, these are all of the books that I'm most excited to get to on my shelves, all for a variety of different reasons. Some I only know 2 things about, others I kind of know the whole plot, but I'm really excited to get to them for all those different reasons that I just explained. I would love to know if any of these you've read and loved, or perhaps disliked, with no spoilers please. But if you're also anticipating any of these books too, please share your excitement down below. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I just had fun just looking through my shelves, picking out some books that I'm most anticipating and just sharing them with you to share the excitement and the joy for beginning books. So yeah, thank you ever so much for watching, and I hope that wherever you are and whatever you're doing, you have a wonderful day or night. Until next time, bye!